Okay, we start. So, Jackson, what state are
Hey,
you in?
I live in South Carolina, but my W-2 job is in Georgia.
South Carolina. Okay, so can you present yourself like to the all people that going to see it? How long have you been in Gator? Tell us everything about your real estate journey. How was it like? What made you really start closing deals? And tell me everything from A to Z, everything about your journey so far.
Yeah, so I got into Gator summer of 2023, probably around this time, June, July-ish. Um, the reason I got into Gator personally and kind of into the creative finance space was, I bought a couple of houses with like VA loans, lived in them, moved, rented those out. But then at a certain point, you run out of VA loan, and you're like, um, well, now what, right? It's like I don't have all that much money. How do I continue to scale? And the only thing I knew was that nobody was putting down 20% the down payment for every property they were buying and just leaving it there. So, I spent a lot of time learning. I got into Gator last year because as it seemed like a way for me to figure out how to continue doing real estate with kind of low capital, being in the situation I was at. So that's when I got into Gator. Um, I got like I got my first deal, if you'll call it that, pretty quickly. It was an EMD deal, I thought, but the it was actually a PML deal, and the borrower. I'm taking the whole thing on the chin. The borrower is going to pay me back, like I'm not doubting that, but the whole deal, it was structured badly. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just too excited to get a deal. But that one I lended $5,000 and I'll be getting $10,000 when I get paid back. So like it'll have paid for Gator on its own, but the lessons learned over time were much more valuable. And I wish I had learned them earlier, but the best way to learn is by doing, unfortunately. um, so yeah, I mean, I've gotten into a bunch of other deals other than that, though. Recently I've been focused on connecting. I've done a couple of PMP deals myself where I brought the money to be a PMP. I've done some deals where I brought PMPs onto my own deals. And then I have connected on a couple of PMP deals, a couple of PML deals. Um, so yeah, I've kind of done, I guess, like not the whole range, but a lot of the different things that we do in Gator in the low capital activities, I guess, if you call it that. Like, hey, I don't have $800,000. How do I go buy houses? How do I get in real estate? Well, the way to do that is like forcing yourself into the situations where people can come to you for help getting their own deals closed.
Yeah. So right now, do you do Gator full time or do you have also a 9 to 5?
So I also have a 9 to 5. If 9 to 5, I'm in the army, so the it's like morning until sometime late in the afternoon. It's a full-time job. So I've been in the army for about 5.5 years. I'm planning to get out at the end of 2025. So the kind of when I got into Gator, my goal with it was, like I know I don't want to be in the army for 20 years or whatever. So how am I gonna get out of the army and make sure my family's taken care of right away? And I figured real estate was probably the easiest way to do that. And I don't know if easy is the right word, but it's definitely I think I'm on track to probably hit that goal of replacing my army income with real income by the end of this year. So
Yeah. So you are one of the guys that I'm seeing a lot really on the Facebook groups. You are one of the guys that are more active in the Facebook groups, and it seems that you are really own it on, like, you own it on every deal and on every post, and you're posting a lot. So how really you make the time for it if you are still in the army, and you need also, of course, to be over there? How do you
Yeah,
really
so
like mix between of the two? Because I see that you're really, really active.
yeah, so a lot of it, and there's a lot of value to the fact that almost all of it is on the internet. Everything is on. We're doing a lot of it on Facebook and social. So, a lot of it is you can get on. I get on my phone during lunch, and I can go through the Facebook groups, find people that are looking for money for their deals, find people that have money and they want to help. They need help, like to people want to make those posts quickly, say, hey, I'm Jack, and love to help you with this deal. And it doesn't even need to be like much more detailed than that. It's just like, hey, I'm a connector. I can help you with this deal. Send me a message, or I'll send you a message. And then usually what I do is I take a screenshot of that post in my comment. I I add them as a friend and I send it to them in their DMs. And so there's like three different points where they see Jack Pierce, Jack Pierce, Jack Pierce. And then they respond. We go back and forth a little bit. And usually by like 2 or 3 hours after my lunch break, I've connected with a bunch of people. I might have done a little bit of underwriting during my lunch break. 2 to 3 hours later, I'm in a conversation with them, and I'm almost done with work for the day, so I can get on a phone call on my drive home. I can kind of introduce myself, let them know how I work, and then I have the rest of the evening to do whatever I need to do underwriting wise. But one thing I've noticed in this community is actually that a lot of a lot of us are getting a lot of the work done outside of the normal business day, just because a lot there's all of us in here pretty much are also working full-time jobs still, on that kind of goal to hit a point where we don't have to do that and work for somebody else. We can work for ourselves. But the in the meantime, I have like my evenings is kind of like the mornings on my way to work is for phone calls, lunch break is for commenting and posting, and then the evening is for underwriting and making those phone calls, getting on Zooms, and everything like that.
And do you work on it also weekends, or weekends like you taking days off?
I probably should start taking Sundays off, but right now I'm also doing a lot on the weekends, and so weekends are kind of like my everything kind of days. So it's like I use my weekend as okay, I can schedule any time of day during the weekend, any time of day can be used for underwriting. I can sit down and get through most of a deal, like meet the borrower, they submit the deal, I start underwriting. I can get through all of that within like a 3 hour time block on the weekend. And have it in front of lenders or private money partners after that. And so weekends are like I get a lot done on weekends. I really should probably start limiting myself to not working on like Sundays or something. Do that. I'll give myself a Chick-fil-A schedule.
Jackson, hold on for a moment. I'm going to switch my connection from the Wi-Fi to the,
Okay.
because it's not the best. Just a moment. Okay, can you hear me? Jackson? Jackson, can you hear me?
Yep, I am here.
Okay, perfect. So you're saying that you've been in Gator 1 year, and during this 1 year, you also had your army job, and
Mhm.
in this 1 year, combining the Gator and the army job, how many deals total did you manage to close?
Um, see, I've done at, altogether. I have probably closed either as a connector, lender, PMP. Um, so far, I've closed 5 PML deals, a PMP deal, and I have another PMP deal closing um in this month sometime. And then I have a couple of PML deals that I'm currently working on that I expect to get funded as well. A lot of those deals have been just since January, February, um, because January, February was when I really got focused and started focusing on connecting instead of trying to be like the lender myself. I had trouble finding earnest money deals. I had trouble finding double close deals. It's just like a lot of like successful wholesalers already have those systems in place. And so I was for a while. I was like, how am I going to find deals? I don't have $80,000 to lend. What do I do? And I got connected with a couple of mentors in the community that kind of coached me on being a connector. And so that's kind of what I've been focusing on. So I've closed 4 or 5 deals, honestly, just since February. Um,
So
and 2 of
4,
those were
5
just last month.
PMP deals, PMP
Uh,
deals.
PM, PML deals, and then I have a PMP deal closing this month in Ohio. It's on uh it's like $350,000 needed for a down payment on a portfolio of duplexes. My connector fee on that is going to include equity in the deal also.
Nice. So 5 PML deals, 1 PMP deal, and another couple deals that you're saying that you have right now in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And
And I have 2 or 3 PML deals that I'm also connecting on right now that are in the pipeline.
nice. And on those PML deals, did you charge, what was your connection fee that you charge? And did you charging the connection fee like upfront or only when the transaction is done?
So yeah, so for second position PML deals as a connector, I'm charging 3% of whatever the amount of funds is that I raise. And then for first position, it's between 1 and 2%, depending on what the lender is taking. So if the lender is taking 1 or 2 points also, then I'll limit it to like 1.5%. If the lender isn't taking any points up front, then I put 2 points on additional for myself. But what I normally do is I work those into the loan. And so if somebody is looking for $100,000 loan, for example, my connector fee will just get added onto that. So if somebody needs $100,000 in first position, I'm going to get them a loan for 102,000. So they're not coming out of pocket for it. And at closing, that 2,000 additional goes to me. Same thing with second position. Somebody needs $100,000 in second position. I put 103 on it as like, hey, this is the loan that they need. That $3,000 extra goes to me as a connector, and then the additional they just pay like 3% more on the return on the back end. So for example, I got somebody a $50,000 gap funding deal funded. My connector fee on it ended up being $2,000 because for second position, it's not really worth doing for much less than that. So I charged them $2,000, but I just got them a loan for $52,000 instead of making it so that they got a smaller amount at closing than they needed to get the deal done. I got them the full amount, and then my connector fee is included in the loan.
Right. So how did you found all those deals, and how did you find the lenders that will fund those deals?
Yeah, so a lot, it's a lot of networking. I spent probably like 2 months, not 2 months. I spent like a whole month where I was going on 5-ish networking phone calls, Zoom calls, Google Meets, whatever, every day for like 2 or 3 weeks straight. And almost all of that was getting connected with lenders. And then after I had done that, um, the what I ended up doing was I, you know, saved everybody's information. I had them tell me like, hey, what kind of deals do you want to do? What kind of deals are you interested in funding? Do you like first position, second position, PMP, EMD, whatever, right? Because that way that kind of helps me say, okay, what deals am I going to send you specifically? You have specific markets that you lend in, specific markets that you don't, stuff like that. And then after that, I basically took that knowledge and went into all the real estate investor Facebook groups. I said, hey everybody, I'm Jack. I am a connector. I'm looking for lenders to connect with. I'm looking for active investors to connect with to get your deals funded. And that was good. It got me a few people. But really the kind of what I mentioned earlier was like during my lunch break, I go in, I scroll through all the Facebook groups, I find posts where people are looking for money for gap funding or get their deal done, whatever. And I say, hey, I'm Jack, I'm a connector. I have PMLs on my network that can get this funded. Send me a message. And then that's where a lot of my like borrower activity is coming from is I go in the Facebook groups and I say, hey, like I see that you have a deal you're trying to get funded, shoot me a message. And then that conversation typically ends up looking like I'm going to get this deal funded for you, but also you should just come to me straight away for all your future deals so that you don't have to worry about like, oh no, where's my funding? And that way kind of keeps them coming back, and also it creates a reputation between us. So I can say, yes, I've worked with this borrower before, they paid out, they're taking care of the lender, etc.
Got you. So you're saying that in order to get the lender, you needed to connect with a bunch of people that have money, a bunch of lenders, and just asking them what really they want to, what kind of deals they want to fund, and then really you save everybody all the names in some sheet that you have or something like this, and all those lenders, everyone are from the Gator group or also from another Facebook groups.
Can you say that again?
All those lenders that you
Mhm.
that you knew or that funded your deal, those people from the Gator community or from another Facebook groups?
Yeah, so a lot of them are from the Gator community. I've also made connections outside of Gator through just like other groups where it doesn't take a lot to become a lender, but it takes a lot to go find them in different markets. So if there's markets that I'm specifically interested in kind of focusing on, I'll go into those Facebook groups and say, hey, I'm looking for private lenders. And usually when I do that, I get a lot of like hard money brokers, private money brokers. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Thank you for your time. And I'll connect with them because I mean, I can send them people. They might, we can bounce each other off of it like that. But generally, the private money lenders outside of Gator Facebook group have been a little bit harder to find. I've gotten some in like Sub2 and the creative finance group. But it's it's a little bit more digging that needs to be done to find those private money lenders.
Got you. So in order to find the private money lenders, really to do all the networking with people and send them a deals. And to get a deal from a borrower that needs money, you're saying that you just commented on the posts of people looking for money in the Facebook groups and reaching out to those borrowers. And and when you got a deal to fund, how do you underwrite it? Do you underwrite it yourself or do you use someone to underwrite it before you connect
So
it to a borrower, to a lender?
yeah, yeah. So I underwrite it myself. And kind of, but basically what I'm looking for specifically is I have kind of three stages to that. So I underwrite it from the if I'm the investor getting this deal funded, am I still going to make money at the end of this deal? Because the investor's not going to make money. You kind of want to tell them like, hey, like I can go find the money and my lender's going to be okay, but it's going to take you 5 months to do this deal and your profit is going to be $10,000. That's $2,000 a month. Are you okay with that? Like that's how much money you're making. And a lot of times they didn't sometimes they didn't realize it. They're just like, I need money in second position to get the deal done. And they'd only counted for the holding costs on first position. And so that's one thing, right? But then so that's the first step is underwrite it. Like if I'm the investor, do I still want this deal? And then I underwrite it as a lender. I'm like, okay, if I'm the lender, do I want to lend on this deal? That goes more one, it goes into like some of the lender's rules, like a lot of times, and my personal rule as a connector is I won't lend on or I won't connect on things that are above 75% total loan to ARV. Um, because a lot of times people are looking for like 100% financing to get the deal like purchased and renovated. I'm like, oh, everybody wants that. That's great, but the difficulty with that is a lot of times when you hit that 100% loan to cost up front, you're between your holding costs and the profit to the lender and the actual loan itself, you're busting like 80, 85% loan to ARV. And when that happens, it's like, okay, well, my lender's money is not safe above 75% loan to ARV. You can't refinance them. If you sell the property, you're definitely going to lose money as the investor, but also it might not sell at a point where they get paid back with all their profit. And so that's my like hard line is 75% of loan to ARV. And that helps to account for if the property sells lower than expected, or if there's a market dip and it isn't appraising or whatever. That 75% still leaves a 5% gap of like the ARV, where if there's a market dip, they can still refinance. You know what I mean? To get the lender
Gotcha.
out.
Now, in terms of what to be focused on, because you told me that in the beginning you are trying to do like a different kind of deals. Right now, what is your main focus and why did you choose to focus on this niche?
Yeah, so I decided to focus on connecting mainly because uh I got into a PMP deal towards the end of last year where I brought my own money to the deal, and I was real excited about it. I was like, I'm gonna be in PMP. I got equity. I'm getting cash flow. Um, the issue with that is I locked up all of my money forever, and I was like, oh wait, dang it. What do I do now? And so like the connector who brought me on that deal was actually Colin Yip. I don't know if you talked to him,
Yeah.
but he's the one who brought me on that deal as the PMP. And I asked him like, hey, like how are you? Like I saw your podcast with Pace and everything, and I'm like, how did you get into connecting? And so him and then another Gator sub two student, they kind of mentored me. They spent like March, April, May. They spent the last 3, 4 months kind of mentoring me through how to be a good connector, the things you got to watch out for, how to really put yourself out there. And it was a lot of legwork definitely to get myself to the point where I'm now doing like 2 to 3 uh, deals a month, I mean 2 to 3 deals a week. I'm probably at a point now where I should start charging some amount just to do the underwriting, and so I'm not just wasting my time and labor. You know what I mean? Because I'm at a point now where I have so much deal inflow, which is good. That's great. But it takes time to underwrite all these deals, and then it takes more time to go get them connected. And then like it's phone calls, it's Zoom calls, it's renegotiating. You have to go back and renegotiate the structure of the deal sometimes if there's issues with one of the lenders. So there's a lot that I've definitely learned in the past few months. But that's kind of the reason I got into connecting. Like I said, was I locked up all my capital because I got overexcited about the deal. And then I locked up all my capital for basically forever, right? And so um, I was like, well, how do I continue making money on this? So
Right. So So you told me that really in the beginning you didn't really close deals, and only like in the past couple months really it started working better for you. So my last question gonna be before we are wrapping it up, if you could go back in time to when you just started out as a gator, what would you change and do differently in order to get faster to the success?
I I would have teamed up with somebody instead of trying to do it on my own. Because I tried to do a lot of it just kind of like doing my own thing. It's like I'm a whole grown up. I can go do it, whatever. And that mindset really held me back because that mindset is what got me into the deals that were locking my capital up for like a long time without me really knowing what I was doing at the time. Like I said, like that first deal that I thought was an EMD deal but turned into a PML deal, it's like eventually I'm gonna get my money back. I have no question of that. The dude, he's constantly communicating with me, but it's been a year. Like he had a whole issue with his renovation, and I thought I was doing an EMD deal. It turned into a PML deal, and I didn't really know how to say no. This isn't what I'm looking for. So that sucked. And then I got, like I said, I got my capital locked up in a PMP deal. But all of that was really because I wasn't like I wasn't working with a team of more experienced folks. I wasn't working with people who already had deal inflow. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I started trying to do like the best I could, but I didn't know enough to really get into it. So I think what I would have done is I would have spent more time networking at the beginning. If I had a choice, like go back, say, hey, Jack, you joined Gator yesterday. This is what you're going to do instead of what you did before. I would say spend a lot more time networking, seeing what other people are doing. I would create that list of like network of lenders and that list of active investors. I would start doing more wholesale outreach at the beginning, but not focusing too much on looking for a deal specifically, but more developing those relationships. Because now that I've developed those relationships, I can bring deals to people all the time, and it's like the lenders. I talk to my lenders pretty often. I talk to my borrowers pretty often. And now I'm at a point where they're starting to stack on top of each other, where I'm getting repeat business from the same borrowers. So.
So you're saying that if you could go back in time, really the thing that you will change is first of all to get a mentor, like an experienced gator that you can work with and that can guide you. And the other thing is really to create to do networking and create your to create two lists, one list of people with money and the other list of people that with investors that need money.
Yep, definitely.
Exactly.
Because
And
I mean that's where all my business is at. That's everybody I'm doing business with is people who, like, those are my customers. The lenders are my customers because I'm bringing them deals that I've pre-underwritten for them, and then the borrowers are obviously my customers because I'm helping them find lenders so they don't have to worry about it. They can focus on the deal itself. And they also have a backup or like a backstop to prevent them from getting into bad deals potentially. So.
yeah, and I'm going to ask you one last question that I wanted to ask. You saying that your marketing way to get deals is only Facebook. Now, for me, I tried also to work with Facebook on Facebook deals, but what I found is that usually whenever someone posting a deal that he needs money, if it's a good deal, then we're getting like 10, 20 messages from people that are connectors or people that saying that they have money and they can fund the deal. So if you're speaking with someone via someone that posted a post on Facebook that he needs money, how do you do it? Do you call him straight ahead and you speak with him to try and build some rapport, or do you keep it only messaging with him
Oh no,
until a certain point?
I try to get everybody on like a Google Meet or a Zoom or something, to because like sometimes deals, like good deals, pop up on Facebook and you can a lot of it through messages, and that's fine. But those people don't come back, you know?
Right.
And so like my thing is I try to get on repeated phone calls. I try to get on repeated Google Meets with my lenders and with all the investors that I work with, so that um that like there's that rapport building. But a lot of times, like you're right, they're getting 20 comments per post, like, hey, I'm such and such, let me fund your deal. And that's fine. Like those people, maybe they get that one. And so a lot of times if I find a post where I'm like, where there's like 30 comments in front of me, I'll say, hey, I'm sure this has already been funded, but just so you know, I'm a connector. I have a good, strong PML network. I would be happy to get connected with you so we can try and work together on the next one. Then I screenshot and send them the message. I ask if it has been funded because sometimes it hasn't, and then you know, either I try to get it funded or it's already been funded, and that's great. But I have somebody to follow up with in like 2 or 3 weeks. Say, hey, wanted to reach out, see how you're doing. I was wondering if you needed funding for any of your deals. Let's get reconnected. And so that's given me the ability to follow up.
Got you. Got you. Jackson, thank you so much for your time, man. Appreciate it a
Yeah,
lot.
for
I'm
sure.
sure that a lot of I learned from this a lot, and I'm sure that other gators can watch this interview and to learn from it a lot as well. So
Yeah, no, I definitely hope so.
I won't take any more of your time. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
You too.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.